Greetings, friends. I'm Jim Blake, the CEO at Unity World Headquarters at Unity Village. I mentioned in the opening ceremony a few of the beautiful upgrades on campus that you'd be seeing if we were together here. Now I'd like to talk about what's happening at UWH in terms of this year's convention theme, Rise Above. For the past 4 years, I've been leading an effort at UWH to take ownership of, and at the same time, to rise above the missteps in our racial history. I've been asked by many of you in the field to share more about what we are doing in this regard. I'd like to take this time together to tell you how we are addressing it and the actions we are taking to bring about more diversity and inclusion. You've probably heard something about Unity's racial history and the ups and downs of this journey over the last century. Reverend Ellen Davenport has written a powerful and comprehensive article that outlines key events in this history. It's available on unity.org. You will find that Black people were among Unity students at least by the 1920s. The first 2 Black ministers were ordained in 1952. It was 1956 before Blacks were allowed to live on campus, and they weren't allowed to swim in the pool until 1963. Those of us serving as leaders and caretakers for the movement today certainly wish it had been different. In a perfect world, Unity leaders would have been awake and ahead of their time because of our teachings. Unity has apologized publicly through the years, but we recognize that words are not enough. Today our focus is on action to create lasting and meaningful change. We are more committed now than at any time in our history to modeling the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion, as I'm sure you are in your own ministries. We are working hard to identify and acknowledge our blind spots. We are committed to being awake and aware of how privilege works and how unconscious bias shows up. We are dedicated to improving our cultural competency and demonstrating tangible results in the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion. To that end, we have established a board-level DEI task force that will hold us accountable to our strategic plan for diversity and ensure that it remains a priority at UWH over time. This is our public statement. Together, we embrace our individuality. We celebrate our uniqueness with full acceptance of all people, including every expression of the divine. We come together with love and compassion to be a light for all. We stand together in unity. We are mindful of the images we use in our publications, on the website, and in social media. We make a conscious effort to ensure that people of color are represented along with people of different backgrounds and ages, physical abilities, cultures, faiths, and sexual orientation. For instance, the covers on 4 of the last 7 issues of Unity magazine were people of color, including Carlos Santana. The Silent Unity prayer service every weekday on Facebook Live was led by all Black ministers in February during Black History Month, and many continue to do it today. Those who take turns leading the Facebook prayer are now 65% non-white. Behind the scenes, we're always looking for Black and Hispanic writers to share Unity teachings through their lived experience. Among those who contribute to the booklets right now, about 27% are Black. Of course, diversity isn't only about race. We know the Unity message resonates deeply with the LGBTQIA+ audience, and we are looking for more ways to let them know they are accepted and honored in all our spiritual communities. We created a booklet by and for this community. For the past 2 years, Unity has also had a presence at the big Creating Change conference hosted by the National LGBTQ Task Force. This year, a panel of our ministers presented a workshop there that was so well received, we recreated it as an online event in April. It was designed for members of the LGBTQIA community to explore their spirituality. Internally, as an employer, UWH has conducted 20 DEI trainings in the past 2 years for all of our 300 associates. We rewrote the employee guidebook and job descriptions with more inclusive language, and we make sure that at least 1 of 3 final candidates for each job opening is a person of color. Our goal is a workforce that's 40% non-white, which is in keeping with the American population. Unity is currently about 20% non-white, so we have a way to go. especially at the leadership level. To help with all of this, in 2018, we hired a full-time diversity officer, Alexandra Scott. Internally, she sets up trainings for employees and oversees hiring. Externally, she recruits non-white job applicants and has developed partnerships all over the community. Unity is actually now considered a leader locally on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we are planning to host trainings for other organizations in the local community. There's much more detail about all of this on the website. We have an updated DEI section about what we're doing as an organization, and the Standing Together section offers resources that address diversity with articles, podcasts, and meditations. And for many years, we've had a section on the website with the LGBTQIA Resources, and it's updated often. And one more thing, over the next couple of years, we'll be restoring 2 of our historic buildings on campus to honor Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman and Reverend Dr. Ruth Mosley. Both leaders experienced discrimination as students and later in their Unity careers. We're making one of the Fillmore homes an Airbnb that will be called Johnny Coleman Cottage. As you probably know, Johnny Coleman was a ministerial student who was told she couldn't live on campus in 1953. When she and some of the other students demanded a change, Unity reversed its policy. With the Johnny Coleman Cottage, there will always be overnight accommodations on campus in her honor. Then, we'll move to refurbish the clubhouse to create the Ruth Mosley Clubhouse. Reverend Ruth founded the Unity Urban Ministerial School in 1979. It's often referred to as the house that Ruth built. So the clubhouse will be restored in honor of her work and that institution, which has turned out 175 talented Unity ministers thus far. Rising above our racial mistakes does not mean we deny or forget them. We are aware that there is much more to be done going forward. I'm reminded of what Reverend Paul Hasselback used to teach us in ministerial school: include and transcend. In this case, we must be willing to include and transcend our racial history and strive now to model the inclusive nature of our teachings and in our name. We stand together in unity. We know that many of you are also working in this same direction with your ministries, and we know it is a priority for UWM as well. Doing this sacred work together, I am confident we can and will do our part in unity to create a world that works for all. Peace and blessings to each of you. Namaste.